We're live here on YouTube. Like to welcome those listening in podcast land, and also my buddy Rich. Rich, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, Mike. The back's kind of stiff and sore. Um, yeah, due to some odd sleeping arrangements that I had to take
Yeah,
earlier in the week, but it's getting a little better. It's getting a little better, and even though we were expecting to do this show together live, I appreciate you making the effort to do it like we normally do
yeah.
instead, but also come over and hang out with you uh, Sunday night for our fantasy draft. So looking forward to that.
You and me both. So we got yeah, we drove down last night. Got in about 10:30, almost 11.
Hmm.
Um, got the kids settled in. Got to bed about 1. Slept pretty decently, and then up at 6 this morning with the kids. So been a busy day, but went to the farmers market. Got to do some tastes of that and just had a good time. So,
Okay. Did you do breakfast burritos, or did you do or did you do Streets of Italy pizza?
so my wife did a breakfast burrito. I did a Cuban sandwich
Okay.
from just one of the random food vendors down there, which was great. It was awesome. And then
Nice.
got some Cool Beans coffee, and then hung out and did our thing. So, but we got a big show to talk about. Lots of news to come out of NASCAR.
Hmm.
Some very crazy text messages to come from the lawsuit to talk about. Plus, we have the Cubs to talk about. Rich, what else do we got today?
You know what, Mike? We'll be giving you our first NFL regular season predictions as there'll be two NFL games that are going to happen between from show to show. So we'll give our those first predictions. Um, yeah, and I think that's about it. And we'll have our poll question like we usually do, uh, the, like our poll question. So, Mike, all that and more, Mike. But what do we got to do first?
We got to go ahead and broadcasting live from somewhere in Iowa. This is Balls and Sticks, the podcast with your hosts, Mike and Rich. And we're back. So, Rich, before we start any of it, let's go ahead and get into our poll question. Like you said, we got that poll question this week.
Hmm.
Rich, what was last week's poll question?
Uh, this week's poll question was last week. Sorry, was a number 11 yard cleaning against our number six seeded Corn Maze. Mike, I went with Corn Maze because I really don't like yard cleaning in general. We're thankful that we kind of budgeted a little bit. We're going to be hiring somebody to come out and do our yard cleaning for us this year and to take down some bushes that have been bothering us for a while. So obviously, I'm not going to pick yard cleaning as something that I'd like to do. Mike, where did you vote?
I went with a corn maze because
Okay,
I'm not a psychopath that likes to clean up the yard. But apparently, we have two of them on our in our fandom that are a little crazy.
that's right.
Solomon
So,
Stroop and Matt Johnson both voted for yard cleanup uh,
well,
for the day.
it's got to be done. It's just whether you enjoy it or not. And
Right.
I'm of the sentiment that it's one of those things that's just got to get done. But it almost tends to be like a rage cleaning of, all right, I'm going to do this, but I'm not going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
And just getting it all done. But joining us with a corn maze, Mike, was my wife AJ Hendricks and your wife Danielle Hart. So the
Yep.
corn maze will move on. This week's poll question, Mike, we're going to do with a number seven hayrack ride. And I decided to pivot it. Originally, our number 10 was building a scarecrow, but I'm going to go with horror or scary movie marathon.
Okay.
So, because you had mentioned that when we wanted haunted houses, like you wrote in parentheses, like horror movies. So, and I never see people just building a scarecrow just for around the Halloween or fall. settings, but a lot of people do watch horror or scary movies throughout the Halloween throughout the Halloween or fall period. So that's why I decided to pivot to those and go it up
Okay.
as our number 10 seat. So I'll get that up probably once we get off of the air. And but so Mike, tell them where they can find our weekly poll questions.
You can find it on Facebook.com/fans of balls and sticks, Facebook.com/balls and sticks, or Rich and my personal pages. Rich, with that, do you see what's coming up next?
Is it a left turn, Mike?
It is. And after that,
It's probably going to be another left-hand turn, Mike, and tell them why.
because we're heading into the NASCAR corner, presented as always by Triple I Sports Cards Incorporated, Moline, Illinois. With all their with all your sports memorabilia needs on Fifth Avenue in Moline or on their eBay store. Once again, that is Triple I Sports Cards Incorporated. Rich, last week we were in Daytona, the race that you never can predict,
Hmm.
and yet we did a decent job.
Yeah, we really did. As the Coke Zero Sugar 400 was won by Ryan Blaney. Mike, my pick of Daniel Suarez came in second. Your pick of Chris Buescher came in seventh. Not too bad for. I don't think we've ever put two drivers in the top 10 for a Daytona race.
Yep.
So that closes out the book on the regular season, giving me a 14-2 advantage going into the playoffs. So,
We got to
Mike,
talk
before
about
we
that race though, Rich.
exactly, you keyed me up here. So, what were your observations or comments about that race before we talk about how we pick our drivers for the playoffs and where our preseason playoff drivers are in the playoff standings?
Yeah, so overall, it was a really good race. Good NASCAR race in Daytona. Um, there was a big one, but that's inevitable there.
Hmm.
And in general, it was a really good race. But going into the last lap, Daniel Suarez wasn't even in the top 15. He
Nope.
wasn't he wasn't even in that sidebar where they tell you where all the drivers are. He wasn't in that thing at all in the front page. And yet, he pulls off a second place, giving you a win. I thought, man, I am in the catbird seat. Chris Buescher is pushing for second. We're gonna, I can, we got this in the bag. Don't worry about it. Daniel Suarez is so far back, he ain't gonna be able to do anything. And then Ryan Blaney and that third row just made a push that we hadn't seen the entire race. There was nobody that's made a push that entire race from that third row. And yet, all of a sudden, Ryan Blaney, Daniel Suarez, and a whole group of them came up. They were they were like 15 to like 20th or 30th, and they just started pushing and pushing, and all of a sudden Daniel Suarez is in second place and Ryan Blaney's winning the race. And it was great to see. I'm not even
Yeah,
mad about
and it
it.
was close. He darn near maybe another lap or another half a lap, and maybe Daniel Suarez wins the race, or he
Yeah.
comes in fourth or fifth, because that's how Daytona is. When you get three wide and three pushing, is weird things happen.
Yeah, it was one of those things that it was crazy to see. I loved seeing it. I'm happy for everybody. I'm not even mad that I lost the regular season to you 14-12. Like that was a great race. Um and Daniel Suarez did what he needed to do. Ryan Blaney did a great job too. By the way, Ryan Blaney getting that ties for the most wins in the regular season, but and then guarantees himself second place in the regular season
Hmm.
on points because he didn't get as many stage points as
Um,
who's in first.
First was in the playoff standings is Kyle Larson.
Yeah, Kyle Larson.
I believe
Uh,
it was William Byron won the. It shows that it was a tie between Byron and Larson in the driver standings, but I thought that it was William Byron that captured the regular season points title, though.
yeah, I think that's
If I
how
remember
it
right.
ended up going down. Either way, good finish to the regular season. Love seeing it. Now we're getting into the playoffs. And Rich, the
Yeah.
playoffs, I enjoy the playoffs. I'm one of these old school NASCAR fans. Like, I loved the way that they did it back in the day. I don't think you would need to do it that way, but I loved how we did it back then, and I'm totally fine with how it is. And I think I'm here for it, and I think they did a great job. So I truly am on the side of playoffs. And with that, we start in Darlington. You want to give a
That's right.
rundown of what it's going to look like now that we are in the playoffs and how that's going to go?
Okay. So before at the very beginning, before the season started, all the way back in February at Daytona, Mike, we picked two drivers that were not our favorite drivers to see how they would do in the playoffs. So, Mike, your favorite driver of Denny Hamlin is third in the playoff standings right now. My favorite driver of Ross Chastain is in the 11th spot, so he would move on pending the results of the next three races. As far as our other picks, Mike, I have you down as picking Christopher Bell as your non Denny Hamlin pick to win it all. He is currently number five in the standings. My pick of William Byron is number two in the standings. Um, below the cut, going below the cut line, pending the results, are Josh Berry, Tyler Reddick, Austin Dillon, and Alex Bowman. So 12 driver, four get eliminated over the next three races. The top 12 stay. Obviously, if you win, you're automatically moving on. Everything else depends on stage points and your overall race finish. And Mike, for us, well, the way we do our predictions is we pick a playoff driver and a non-playoff driver, whoever driver finishes higher gets the pick for that specific um, driver pool uh, first. And did we decide what happens? Do we get, obviously we still get a bonus point if the driver wins. In the odd event that our drivers finish 1-2, do we get a bonus point for a second place finish?
We can go with that. Let's do it.
Okay. Okay. So in the odd event, so it only counts if our drivers go 1-2, not a bonus point for a second place finish.
Right.
Okay. Unless one of our drivers finished first and one finishes second, much like we had to do with the was it the street race where your driver finished second and mine was first. So
Something
we'll
like
go,
that.
yeah. All right, Mike. So because my driver won Daytona, I got the first pick for both drivers this first round of the playoffs. And I'm going to go Christopher Bell because the Toyotas were running pretty good in qualifying. And I'm not a fan of who's on the pole. And for the non playoff driver, I'm going to go Chris Buescher.
So my favorite driver is the guy on the pole, and I'm gonna pick him to win the race. I'm gonna go with Denny Hamlin, and my second driver is gonna be a guy that it's either checkers or wreckers for him. I'm gonna go with Kyle Busch.
Kyle Busch. All right, you can catch that race Sunday night on USA. All right, Mike. So the other big thing to come out of NASCAR is there is an update with the 2311 Front Row Motorsports lawsuit. Mike, you
Yeah.
had a chance. You've been following this a little bit closer than I have, so I will let you take the floor for this.
So the first thing we got to talk about is what the hearing was this week, and where all the information is coming out currently is that um, we are in the process of looking at uh, the team has asked for an injunction to require NASCAR to not sell the charters that were originally purchased by the two teams.
Okay.
So part of this lawsuit is they're hoping to get permanent charters. NASCAR on multiple occasions has said never, never, never. We don't want permanent charters. Blah blah blah. Which, in all honesty, I think the charter, if you're going to have charters, the charter should be owned by the team, and that should be a long term thing that they just own it. It shouldn't be every couple years you get a new charter agreement and blah blah blah. Um, they're also arguing on all sorts of things, but the injunction hearing is more about whether or not the teams, like, essentially for the teams to get an injunction, they're trying to prove they think they're going to win, and if they win, they would be eligible to get these um, charters back, and they'd renegotiate or figure out something. Um, so they did some discovery what they think are smoking guns, um, because that's what I mean. They're trying to do their best to say, hey, we're gonna win. Here's why, and um, we need to get some stuff figured out. Um, so uh, the teams want so the teams in this the teams release both sides release some text messages that they think are going to help their case. Some were pretty ugly. In fact, one with the aforementioned Denny Hamlin essentially said he hates his hate for the France family runs deep, and that NASCAR will be a much better place when Jim France dies. Crazy to see something like that. Um, to think it, to say it, that's just ridiculous and crazy. But um and then so on that's kind of was the big thing for them. But there were a couple other things here and there. Um the big one for the teams, um in subpoenaed text messages and emails and stuff like that. I believe it was an email from one of the board members to somebody else saying, put out the FU copy of the charter agreement to the teams.
Hmm. So
Essentially
by that
saying
is
that,
so they're going to make public what the charter agreement was
nope.
that was being forced on them.
Well, there's some of that is in there, but essentially what they're saying is that NASCAR knew that the charter agreement was unfair, and knowing that the charter agreement was unfair, they they were still pushing to send it to the teams to be like, we don't like you guys, like we own everything and it's just us, you guys suck, you guys have
Hmm.
no power. It's kind of what that comes across as.
Okay.
They also in one of the other documents said pick pick a date, and that's the deadline, and send it out and say don't sign it, we don't care, this is how we're doing it, and demands that not that they were negotiating any of it, but that they just said this is what we're doing and sucks to be the teams. And that again says that they are just dictating things in their own way, which I can't think helps them a bunch in the overall way that the charter or that this lawsuit goes. I'm not an expert in the law. This is not legal advice in any way, shape, or form.
Hmm.
Um, but a lot of what I've seen on the team side makes it really hard to say that they are not uh, they do not have some really big smoking gun type things, or things that are going to be um, pushing in their favor. Now, again, the teams are more worried about we need to, because if they get the injunction, um, the charters are saved for them. If they don't, if NASCAR sells the charters, the teams have essentially said, and I would agree, uh, if we lose our charters, we're going to go bankrupt. We won't exist next year. Michael Jordan said a quote. I'm ready to. He spoke with reporters outside afterwards and said, "I'm ready to take this to the end, to the fiery end. And if it means that I lose my charters and I'm out of the sport, that sucks. I love the sport. I want to be a part of it, but uh, but NASCAR needs to change." Now, with all of that being said, I will say, or I will also quote that the judge said, if either team thinks they already know they're going to win or that they're the better team, or they have the win in the bag, don't count on it. Neither side is in a position to have a win set forth already. There's still lots
Hmm.
of stuff to happen. He did say if the teams win, NASCAR is going to look completely different. It will not be able to look the same as it does today. And he said if NASCAR wins, it's probably accurate that the teams will go under. Um, Essentially because NASCAR will be allowed to sell their charters and won't have to sell the charters back to the teams. So if the teams don't get a charter, NASCAR is going to be out. Those two teams are going to be out, and that would suck for them. But that's kind of what it looks like would happen if NASCAR wins. So
Yeah, I mean, already you're talking about the NASCAR teams will cease to exist because already you know that Tyler Reddick, the driver of the current 45 car for Jordan, has a clause in his contract that he has to be in a chartered ride. So right now they're in breach of that contract, and he's prepared to take himself and his sponsorship dollars elsewhere to a team that does have a charter.
yeah,
If there
which
if there's a if a team buys a charter, either buys an extra charter or you have a team that an upstart team that's maybe not full time in NASCAR right now, but buys the charter and Tyler Reddick could be their driver and they've already got the sponsorship dollars and they've as long as they have the money for a charter and a car, he's going to bring name recognition and sponsorship dollars with him right off the bat.
yeah. The other thing on that is that apparently NASCAR said that they have teams ready to buy and they are ready to sell the charters. Um,
Yeah, and I could have sworn wasn't there something about how they were going to force teams to only have only three charters apiece? So if you have a team like Gibbs or Hendrick that have four chartered drivers, don't they have to go down to three?
so there's some there the thing is that technically one of their charter so the teams can only buy from NASCAR so many
Mm,
charters.
okay.
But when Stuart Haas dissolved most of its stuff, uh, they sold to other teams um, the rest of their charters. NASCAR doesn't have a rule against that currently. Um, it also one of the things that I think hurts NASCAR's case in the we're not a monopoly and we're not bullying. Mid-season, they just change the rules because they feel like it, and sometimes they do that. And in if they decide to finally go with one of those, you can only have one charter and doesn't matter, and we're gonna just put our foot down, blah blah blah. That's on them, and that's how they're. That again, I think that shows more monopolistic mindset and is not good. So
Mm,
uh, one thing that did come out that um, people are finding slightly shocking, and it's accurate. Michael Jordan and his team have said that they've made a quote unquote modest profit off of their team.
mm.
So there's something to be said for it. So, Rich, you did, yeah. So I, I don't want to say I want the teams to win, and I don't know that I want NASCAR to win. I would like this to be one of those everybody loses, but things get better for both sides.
So you're hoping for a settlement so that both
I don't think it's going to
both
be a
teams
settlement.
kind of win. Both teams kind of win.
I think I don't think there will be a settlement, but I think the teams winning is the best case scenario for NASCAR, but not NASCAR as a whole, if that makes any
Hmm.
sense whatsoever. It's better for NASCAR as a whole, it's not for the organization of NASCAR. So,
Okay.
anyway, that's kind of the update on that. Rich, um, let's go ahead and how about you take us out of the NASCAR corner?
All right. So that was the NASCAR corner presented by Triple I Sports Cards Incorporated. Moline, Illinois, down on Fifth Avenue, and they also have an eBay store, Triple I Sports Cards Incorporated. So, Mike, from the concrete asphalt of NASCAR, we're going to go over to the dirt diamond of baseball. So this week, Mike, the Cubs had two games out in Orange County with the Angels, three down and up in San Francisco with the Giants before heading out to Denver for one game from show to show. Mike, they ended up winning both those games in Orange County against the Angels, but they got swept in San Francisco before rebounding with a Dominic Coors Field type of victory in Denver over the Rockies, making them 3-3. Mike, we both said they get 4 games this week.
Yeah,
It was kind of disappointing with San Francisco. I was really hoping they would have at least gotten one of those games in San Francisco and had a winning week. But San Francisco is a good team too, and they were coming off a sweep at the hands of the Brewers. So I mean, maybe they were due. But it
yeah.
was
It
nice that they swept the Angels, though.
it really
Took care of
sucks
business.
because we needed that. We needed the Giants to reverse what they did. We needed them to sweep the Brewers, and then we sweep them. But that's not how it worked. Um, man, you can't be mad at 500. What's funny is if you look at it, the Cubs are still above 500 since the All Star break.
Yeah.
They're above five. They're above 500 since the All Star break, and yet they are still losing ground to the Brewers. I'm telling you right now, if you are looking at the playoffs, and you are not afraid of the Brewers, you are crazy. The Brewers right now are easily the hottest team in baseball, and we always say that the MLB playoffs aren't about how good your season was. It's about how hot you are. And if the Brewers can keep this pace up, they might win the World Series this year.
They could. So more on the standings coming up next, Mike. But let's give our predictions for this upcoming week. They're going to be in Denver for two more games with the Rockies before coming home to face the Braves for a brief two-game series, and they will have a four-game series, but only one from show to show with the Washington Nationals.
Yeah, I think they should win 4 of these games, but I
Oh, my
really
my
don't.
apologies, Mike. It will be 3 games with the Atlanta. Yeah, 3 games with the Atlanta Braves. My
Mm.
apologies, not two. It'll be a 3 game series with the Braves.
So they do have 6 full games.
Yes,
I
their off
think
day will be on Thursday before the Nationals come into town.
I think they should win 4 of these.
Okay.
I
I
don't
went with four as well.
I don't think they're going to. I think they should. I'm going to leave it at 3 though. My
They're leaving it at
prediction
three.
is 3, but they should win 4.
Okay. I'm gonna go four as well. I mean, the Braves were not able to recover from some early injury woes that struck some of their key players early on in the year. And I'm really hoping that Denver, we can get a sweep out of Denver and then come home and ride that winning streak into those games with the Brewers and Nationals, with the Braves and Nationals. So I'm gonna go four.
Okay.
All right, Mike. So we were originally going to do this over like a 4th of July, and then plans kind of changed. But so we pushed it back to Labor Day, which is normally when we do a standings check anyway. Um, so right now, Mike, we'll just go with the divisions. Um, so I have both up the standings and where we're
I have the
at.
standings up.
Okay, all right, Mike. So we both said that the New York Yankees would win the AL East.
So the Yankees are in second place.
Yeah.
They have a great record uh, at 556, but they are behind the Blue Jays by 3 games.
Okay. So neither of us put the Blue Jays even into the playoffs this year.
Wow.
just for context. So the Jays have come out of nowhere. But well, maybe not out of nowhere, but I think we maybe I believe my reason for not putting Toronto into the playoffs was because I thought that I was tired of being burned by them, of
Yeah.
being a team on paper that looked like, yeah, they should make the playoffs, and then for whatever reason, it just didn't happen.
Yep.
Over in the AL Central, Mike, you went with the Kansas City Royals, and I went with the Guardians.
Well, the Royals are in second place at a 511. By the way, that that does not even get them into the playoffs at this moment. The Guardians are at a 504, and they are the Royals are 9.5 games back from the Tigers, and the Guardians are 10.5 games back from the Tigers.
Okay. So we both put the Tigers into the playoffs, but as a wild card,
Okay.
not as a division winning team. And finally, over to the West, Mike, we both said that the Texas Rangers would be winning that division.
Rangers are 6.5 games back. They're in third place behind the Mariners, that are 3.5 games back. And that team that I refuse to say their name, the Asterix, are in first.
All right, Mike. So so our wild cards, Mike. I'm going to give you the wild card, and you're just going to tell me, are they making the playoffs?
Okay.
We've already touched base on the Royals and the Tigers, as the Royals are not in a position to make the playoffs, as
Nope.
currently they are 3 games back of the final wild card spot. And Houston is already in the playoffs as a division leader, and the Tigers are in as division leaders. But two teams we haven't touched base on that we said would make the playoffs as a wild card, the Minnesota Twins, Mike, you gave them a wild card. Are the Twins in a position to make the playoffs?
No, they are way back. Uh they are like 10 games behind in the playoffs race. So
Okay, so they're not eliminated yet, but they got a lot of work to do. And the
they
other team that I said would make the playoffs was the Boston Red Sox.
the Red Sox are actually in a they would make the playoffs. They would be the second team in the playoffs.
Gotcha. All right, Mike, going over to the National League. Mike, you went with the Atlanta Braves as your pick. I went with the Philadelphia Phillies.
Well, the Phillies are in first place in the East, and the Braves are 17 games back, um, and not looking like they're even going to make the playoffs.
Okay. For the Central, Mike, we went with the Homer pick and went with the Chicago Cubs.
And right now, they are in second place, 6.5 games back behind the Brewers,
And the West, we both went with the Dodgers, of course.
and they are in first place in the
Okay,
division.
so the wild cards, Mike, we already touched base on the Phillies as they hold you gave the Phillies a pick. So two teams that we both put into the playoffs is those Milwaukee Brewers, who are on a hot streak and have the best record in baseball at 84 and 52. So we're not going to worry about them. We both said that the Mets would make the playoffs. Are the
And the Mets
Mets in the playoffs as a wild card?
right now, I believe they get the third wild card spot.
Yes, they have the third wild card spot by 5 games over the Cincinnati Reds. And the other team that we put down, I went with the Diamondbacks as a wild card team.
Um, the Diamondbacks are just under 500. They're 2 games under 500 right now.
Yep, 6.5 games back.
Yep.
All right, Mike. So you had a preseason NLCS, Mike, of the Dodgers over the Braves. The Braves are not in a position to make the playoffs. So if you had to pick a team right now, who would you pick as that preseason NLCS?
The pre postseason right now, like I said, if looking at the teams right now, the Brewers are the scariest team in baseball. A, they
Okay.
have the best record. B, they are on a tear that we haven't seen in a long time. Their post All Star break tear has been lights out, and if they don't if they don't make a good run in the playoffs, I will be shocked.
Okay, gotcha.
So
I went with the Dodgers over the Phillies. I still feel good about that. I know that the Brewers are on a hot streak, and but that they just lost their closer Trevor McGill for the year, so maybe they'll start cooling off. But I mean, sometimes. But I mean, if anything, what the Brewers are doing well is situational hitting, defense, and just running the bases well. They don't really have that home run threat in their lineup, which sometimes tends to play. The long ball seems to play really well in the playoffs. That's their one. That's kind of their one weakness, in my opinion, is not having that long ball type of hitter. But if you're hitting doubles and moving the runners well, that plays in cold weather, hot weather, domes. It doesn't matter what type of environment you play in, as long as everybody's hitting the ball like they are. It's not going to
yeah,
matter who you're playing.
yep. The big problem, though, I mean, again, as we've seen in the past with the Cubs, it doesn't matter how many runs you make; it's how many runs you keep off the board just as much. So that could hurt them not having a solid closer.
Yeah, as Daniel Palencia is starting to show some cracks in the armor right now, as he has blown some good leads, and we even said at the trade deadline we really hoped that uh, they would secure a more dominant, established closer to bump Daniel Palencia to an eighth inning role. But you know what? But like you've said, this team reminds a lot of the 15 team, maybe the team that was overachieving and isn't that one player away from making the playoffs like the 16 team was, where a closer could be the difference maker.
Yep.
The other news to come out of baseball was that the Field of Dreams game is back,
Yeah.
as they have not announced. They've just announced who's playing in the game, not when the game is, and it'll be the Minnesota Twins and the Philadelphia Phillies.
Are you going to try to get tickets to this game?
No, probably not.
No.
Not that I don't want. I mean, it's just neither team really is. Man, I really want to see that team. I mean, if it
If I
was,
get tickets to this game, would you go?
I will have to see.
Yeah. It's one of
So
those things where I love the idea of going back, but man, that was because they keep every year they've been putting it on a midweek game and blah blah. So I don't know. Maybe I'm not up for a midweek game, but we'll see.
so yeah,
Okay, Rich.
I think I would have liked to have seen a more maybe a more historical team in there than the Minnesota Twins or even the Phillies. I mean, I don't think of like the Phillies as a historical type team. I think I would have rather have, but I mean, I think it's. Well, I guess I would have rather seen the St. Louis Cardinals in this game. Not that I'm a Cardinals fan, it's just that the Cardinals as a franchise kind of hit more of that time frame of when what the Field of Dreams was trying to captivate as like the historical teams
Yeah,
and
and
players, those players coming out of there.
I can get that, but um
But I think that they probably are trying to play to the region and trying to
right.
draw in fans from the region of Dyersville, Iowa. So the Twins make sense
Minneapolis is
in that sense.
Minneapolis is the closest city wise to any of the teams or to the field. I'm guessing Minneapolis is closer than Chicago.
You know what? You wouldn't That would not surprise me. So maybe the Cardinals and the Brewers will be up next for this series as Milwaukee and that St. Louis. Um, yeah, would be up for that first. So I'm not sure which team is designated as the home team. I'd imagine it's the Twins, but
It's
you
got
never
to be
know.
the Twins.
Yeah, somebody's losing a home game out of this series. Um, but yeah, I'm glad to see it's back. I think construction was a reason on why it's taken a 2 year absence from the schedule, as they were doing a lot of development around the temporary to make the MLB stadium that was a temporary facility more for the first two series of the iteration of this game. So they're making more of the stands more permanent and I know they were building like a baseball complex around that as well for youth tournaments.
So,
So
Rich, I
West
stand
Cornfield,
corrected.
uh-huh.
Chicago is 209 miles.
Okay.
Minneapolis, or four, yeah, 209. Minneapolis is 243.
Okay. And while you were looking at what's the distance from Milwaukee to Dyersville? Because obviously we know Kansas City and St. Louis are going to be much further than Chicago and Minneapolis.
And that is, 198 miles.
Hmm.
So that would technically be the home team uh for uh the Dyersville team.
Hmm. But either way, so if anything, they are getting the teams that are in the Dyersville, Iowa blackout zone into this game first. Because
Yeah, I mean
obviously
it's
Minnesota, if you're in Dyersville, I mean your sign that your sign that you brought up there was end to MLB blackouts for Iowa fans.
yep,
Because all the teams that are in this blackout zone for within for the entire state of Iowa, Minnesota is one of those teams, along with Milwaukee, Chicago, and St. Louis. I think even Kansas City is in that
yep.
blackout
The
coverage
state
area
of
as
Iowa
well.
has 5 blackout teams. Um, and not if you're in Des Moines, the most populous city, metropolitan area of the state of Iowa, you are like 4 to 5 hours away from any of those cities, and yet I think I'm sorry, Kansas City's only 3.5,
Okay.
but still, you're 3.5 to 4 hours away from any of those cities, and you can't watch a single game that's not national broadcast.
Yep, without buying that cable subscription. So you couldn't get on the you so you couldn't buy the MLB TV package, and you
Right.
already know 5 teams are going to be blacked out, and more than likely you're a fan of one of those 5 teams if you're
Yep.
wanting to buy that package
But
without wanting to buy the direct to customer streaming option through a through a particular team.
yep, like Marquee or I don't know who else the other ones have, but yeah, it's ridiculous, and blackout in NHL or in MLB is crazy. So, with that, Rich, let's head to the gridiron as we actually have to talk about the first week of football. Week 1, Thursday night football, Cowboys Eagles, September 4th. Are you
Mhm.
ready for some football?
I am. I don't know if how much of this game I'll watch since it's a Thursday night game and I'm usually up for work around 4 in the morning to go to the gym or to go into work early. Um, but I might try and watch some of it. But Cowboys Eagles, I'm gonna have to go with the Eagles. The Cowboys just got worse because of the
Yep.
trade that they decided to make, trading away their best defensive player in Micah Parsons up to Green Bay. So yeah, but even before the Micah Parsons trade, I was going to go with the Eagles in this game.
Yeah, I agree. The Eagles are the better team, and man, uh I don't know what the Micah Parsons trade was all about. I think that was one of the dumbest moves Jerry Jones has ever made, and I know Micah was wanting out, but that doesn't mean yeah, you don't always let the player out of the off the hook when you don't want to.
Yeah, I
So,
heard it was a mistrust issue because his Parsons and Jerry Jones had agreed on the framework of the contract. And then once Jones presented it to the agent, the agent said, no, we're not going to sign that. So, and if you've had a chance to watch any of the America's Team documentary that's on Netflix right now, it's that mistrust that ultimately led to Jimmy Johnson getting let go. So it's I think it was a mistrust issue between, no, we had a deal. It's like, why with the agent involved is it changing? So they couldn't come to terms on a deal with the agent involved, so they ended up shipping him out of town.
yeah, that's It's too bad. You feel bad for both sides, but I mean, do you ever feel bad for the Cowboys?
No, no, that they're not losing money, and even
I mean, you
if
feel bad for
anything,
your friends that are fans of the team, but the team itself, that sucks for them. But Jerry, you got a terrible owner he's the greatest bad owner in all of sports. He's the greatest owner in sports in that he's taken his franchise and made it the most valuable NFL team out there. And he has everybody like you can't turn on an ESPN show where they don't end up talking about the Cowboys. We're talking about the Cowboys because they're on Thursday night, but in general, we don't do that.
hmm
Um, but when you watch the any coverage of the NFL on ESPN or uh, FS1 or any of those stations, they are always have at least one segment devoted to something about the Cowboys. Doesn't matter if it's Micah Parsons passed a poop the size of a baseball or like something in the Cowboys will make a show in almost every show that ESPN does.
yeah, I mean, I Jerry Jones is a good owner on the business side of football, but because he wants his hands on the football side, and him saying that no, I'm the president and the general manager as well, that's where the team is at a disadvantage because he negotiate he's on the more he has a business he's on the
Yeah.
business side of it, not necessarily always on the football side.
And
So a
and
handshake
I would
so a handshake deal with the players thinking, yeah, all right, we came to terms on that, let's go, let's do it. I could see why he's kind of upset about that and would go the route of, all right, you want to be traded, all right, I don't trust you anymore, so because you didn't want to do the deal that we originally agreed to. I could see why, as a businessman, you would not want to cut negotiations off if you backed out of an agreed upon handshake deal. So,
yeah, I think you just summed it up and maybe I'll make it a little more concise. The Jerry Jones is the greatest owner in the NFL, but the worst general manager in the NFL.
yeah.
So with that, Rich, we also have a Thursday, a Friday game. I don't remember what time it's going to be, but it's the Chargers versus the Chiefs in Brazil.
Yeah, that will be a 7:05 game on YouTube. YouTube exclusive game from Brazil, 7 p.m. local time. I'm going to go with the Superchargers in this one. Um,
By
the
the way, you
Chiefs
know
are.
why they play that game in Brazil, right?
Why is that, Mike?
The nat there is a national law that bans professional football being played on Fridays in the United States
Hmm,
because Friday nights are are for high school.
I did not know that.
So they have to play it in Brazil. So I got to go with the Chiefs on this one. Um, I don't think either of these teams, either the Eagles or the Chiefs, are going to suffer a hangover from the Super Bowl. So I'm going to pick the Chiefs and the Eagles. We'll see. We'll see how they do.
All right, Mike. So next week, be ready. First, we'll be starting our normal NFL coverage, giving you our opinion on who's going to win the Bears game, as well as a lock and an upset of the week. Lock and upset of the week. Speaking of locks and upsets, I just created our NFL Pick'em, which we use Yahoo as our platform for that. The description, the link for that Facebook, for that Yahoo Pick'em page will be in our show descriptions, both on the podcast and on the YouTube side. The group name is 35841 with a password of 0969. Compete alongside with Mike and I, and it will be the pick distributions on that pick'em page that will determine if the matchup is an upset pick. whether it's a 50-49 split or a very large margin on for the pick distribution.
Okay. With that, Rich, we have one final piece of prediction for the NFL season that we have to do for our preseason.
Yes, we do, Mike.
We have to determine. Now, we've changed it this year. We're not telling you who's making the championship games. We're just doing the Super Bowl. I think we did that last year as well.
Yeah.
And in that, I am picking, and I'm changing it from what you wrote down. So be ready. I'm picking the Lions over the Kansas City Chiefs. The Lions win their Super Bowl.
All right, Lions over the Chiefs.
Let's go Dan Campbell.
Gotcha. I'm gonna go with the Buffalo Bills over the Detroit Lions. So Josh Allen and the Bills seem like I think they can finally get over the hump and beat the Chiefs. And I just really like to see the Lions in the playoffs. I think they're gonna have some challenges this year. Losing both of their coordinators and going with an outside hire on the offensive side of the ball instead of promoting somebody from within. But I still like the Lions, so maybe the Lions are kind of like maybe a heart pick of somebody that I really want to see make the playoffs and do well and make the Super Bowl. Then maybe it's not as I'm not a real confident pick with the Lions though, but I really I'm gonna go all in on the Bills this year though.
Okay. So with that, Rich, we are at the end of the show. Do you have any shout outs for this week?
I do not have any shout outs this week.
I have one. My sister-in-law, Bethany, her birthday is today?
Yeah.
Sometime, maybe, yeah. And then my nephew has a birthday this week as well. So with that, Rich, what's it time to do?
Well, Mike, before we roll the outro, let's remind the folks where they can find the show. If you're listening to us here on YouTube and you just want the audio version, look us up wherever you find all of your other podcasts. Apple, Spotify, just to name it, and iHeartRadio, just to name a few. And if they're out there in podcast land listening to us and you want to interact live with the show, make sure to look us up on YouTube. And wherever you're listening to us at, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. So, Mike,
and
with all that,
if you are wanting to participate in our poll question and get shout outs like all the people you hear that vote for our polls, check it out at facebook.com/ballsand6, facebook.com/fans of balls and six, or Rich and Mike's page. With that, Rich, go ahead and let me know what to do.
Let's go ahead and roll that outro.
Broadcasting live from somewhere in Iowa, this is Balls and Sticks, the podcast with your hosts, Mike and Rich.